What's up, guys? Hey, guess what? We're doing a second Patreon sponsored movie review this month. Why? Because I just felt like it. And the movie we're talking about today is the 2019 Japanese movie 12 Suicidal Teens, directed by Tsutsumi Yukihiko and starring Takasugi Mahiro, Sugisaki Hana, and Arata Mackenyu. And I think this movie got a decent amount of hype because, as the title hints, there are 12 characters in the story, and all the characters, if not all, the majority of these characters were played by hot not upcoming per se, but hot young actors. Obviously the three main characters I mentioned, but there are quite a few more which many people might have seen in other movies and or dramas. And the story is simple. It's about these 12 teens who meet in this abandoned hospital. They're part of this online group who agreed to meet together and commit suicide. It's kind of grim, it's kind of bleak, but bear with me for a second. And but their plans encounter an obstacle because they find a 13th person in this hospital. Granted, this 13th person is dead. Already dead. So there's this extra dead body. They don't know how it got there. So what these 12 teens do is that before they carry out their plan of suicide out is that they have to discover the truth as to why and how this person got in there and died. So when it comes to positives of 12 Suicide Teens, it is an excellent mystery story. There's a lot of talking. Not more talking compared to actual action in this movie, but it's an excellent mystery story, and it pieces together the true story in a non-chronological fashion, and that kind of thing. I dig it, and you kind of piece together what happens in your mind. But what I like as a kind of a nice treat is that during the end credits, they actually tell you the full entire story lined up with everyone's testimony, how it actually happens in the end. But this after you're kind of piecing together the story in your head yourself. I guess when you're actually watching the movie and they say, okay, maybe this happened first and this happened second, it kind of tells it, in a kind of scattered way. So it might be a little tough to kind of keep up with all the sequence of events, but what I like, if you can piece it together in your head, it just feels nice watching it towards the end credits when it actually plays out for you. It makes a nice, not post-credits scene, but a nice thing to watch while you're watching the credits. And I like how this movie, to me, was a bit deceptive. Now, I didn't watch much of the trailer before watching this movie. I just was attracted by the poster, to be honest. The poster and the actors that were featured in this story. And I thought the movie, for me, it was deceptive, but in a very positive way. I honestly thought it was going to be one of those survival game, horror, thriller movies that usually get released straight to DVD. Now, if you don't know what kind of movies I'm talking about, there's a lot of movies with the word game in them that you almost never see a theatrical release of, like Joker Game, Cinderella Game, Werewolf Game, or Jinro Game. And these movies are extremely low budget. They're usually meant as a stepping stone for the young actors which are featured in these kinds of movies. And I thought 12 Suicidal Teens was going to be one of those types of movies, but it wasn't. It actually transitioned from a murder mystery thriller to a murder mystery drama. And the transition was nice. It didn't feel forced at all. It transitioned organically, and I think it was entertaining from beginning to end. And I dug the performances and characters. I think every actor that was featured in this movie delivered an exceptional job. And this movie gave enough screen time for all 12 teens, so that way you get to know them. And these characters are all unique in their own way. And I think what made each teen memorable is that none of these characters' backstories were overly complicated, and you actually feel for each of these characters' backstories as to why they wanted to commit suicide. And it was definitely on the easier side to remember their names because right from the get-go, from the very first time when everyone's in the meeting room, you see their names flash on screen, and their names are constantly written in front of you. So it was, if you can read Japanese, that is, it was easier to remember everyone's names. Usually in an ensemble cast like this, you kind of forget who is who, and you tend to just fall back on identifying each character by their archetype. You still kind of do that in this movie, but I feel like it's easier to remember more names in this movie than it is in a usual movie with this size of a cast. But I say the best performer out of all the cast was Sugisaki Hana. We've seen her in other movies in the past. She was in Bleach last year. She was in Blade of the Immortal. And she is a fantastic actress. She's still young, still in her teens, I think. I can't remember exactly her age. But her character, Henri, she was just angry, just extremely dark, and I loved every moment she was on screen. She was all business. As far as the negatives I have to say about 12 Suicidal Teens, but I generally liked everything in this movie. But if I had to nitpick, it would have to be Mackenyu's character, Shinjiro. And the reason why, he is the most intellectual out of all 12 teens, and because it's easy for him to solve certain mysteries that get put on the table. And he's basically the living exposition. He's the one who always gives the explanation as to how things happen or when things happen. Or if he doesn't know the answer right away, he's often the one who leads to discoveries of the truth. And I thought because of his character, it gave the group kind of an easier way out, an easier way to solve certain mysteries. And I don't know, I thought it was a bit cheating, a bit unfair, but I guess you have to have one of these characters in these types of movies to kind of move along the story. But yeah, but overall, what do I have to say about 12 Suicidal Teens? I absolutely loved it. This was definitely a movie designed for folks who have experienced depression, sad thoughts, suicidal thoughts. This is definitely a movie made for them, but not at the same time. It was a movie made for people who haven't even experienced those kinds of feelings, but it's easier for them to be well aware of this kind of thing because in Japan, teen suicides are a pretty serious matter, and this movie brings that to light. This movie, I think the purpose of this movie was to make society aware of that. But something I read that I think that the director has said in an interview of sorts was that suicide is never something that can be positive. The film will give people a chance to think about the pointlessness of suicide. So I feel like if anyone has ever experienced these kinds of emotions, they can connect to these 12 teens. Like I said, there are 12 unique teens with different backstories. So it's easy to assume that you'll have at least one person to connect with that you kind of cheer throughout the movie. And to attract viewers to this issue, they crafted a clever mystery story that anyone could enjoy. It's a cleverly crafted mystery story with a star-studded cast, so it's hard to look away. And it's filled with as much suspense as it is with heart. And it's a movie I can't help but recommend. This is an absolutely entertaining movie. It was, it came out last month. I checked it out in the theater, and I'm absolutely glad that I did. I don't want to spoil too much about the movie's ending, but it doesn't end on a grim note as what the title would make you expect. Well, it won't end in such a grim note. But, it ends in a very bittersweet way. And I won't say exactly how because I want you guys to watch the movie for yourselves. But yes, those are my thoughts on 12 Suicidal Teens. What did you guys think? Please let me know in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like. If you're new to my channel, please subscribe. And if you really dig my content, please know you can support Asian Films via Patreon from as little as $1. And yeah, that's about it for me, guys. And as always, everyone, thank you so much for watching and hope to catch you all again in the next video. Take it easy.